Good evening, good afternoon, morning, whatever it is. Welcome. I am Deana Rae, and I am here with Sonny
Goodspeed.
Yeah, Goodspeed. Sonny Goodspeed.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend.
Yeah, and it's only been like a day and a half. Not even a full day and a half, just a day. Not even a whole.
Feels like it though.
It really feels like a long time.
Yeah. No one got sleep last night, and it shows.
Yes.
So, Sonny, we are here to do a little Q&A today.
Yeah, I appreciate you all showing up, taking time out of your day. Thank you very much for being here. I didn't know that I was going to have this kind of outpouring of people coming in. Here comes my fans. These gentlemen right here, actually, this is the God's honest truth, drove from New York. They drove 7 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say they came to see me,
Yes.
and I'm not going to let them tell any other stories.
Yes, we did.
So,
I came to see her.
she's a married woman. Enough, you horn dogs.
And her husband, where were you then?
Yeah. But, so, I didn't realize this, but they used to come see me wrestle up in Green Mountain Wrestling in Newport, Vermont. They used to drive 3 hours to see me there. And then now, yeah, guys, come up close. You want to sit right here? Come sit on my lap. Oh, jeez, please. Isn't that crazy though? Like, and then they brought pictures. So I signed the pictures for them today. I gave them a discount on the price too. It was good. I made a couple bucks. You know what I mean? It's a business.
Fantastic.
It's a card. Yeah, you still owe me. I don't have to change for that number. I'm sorry.
Neither do I.
Oh, perfect.
Still,
It worked.
I got to catch it next time.
There you go.
Green Mountain Wrestling is body down.
Body done. That's it. Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going for. My body.
So, Sonny, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself, your history, how you got here?
Sure. So I, as everybody, I started watching wrestling when I was a young guy. I was 7 years old, I think, or 6 years old. And the first thing I remember, I don't know when it was, but the first thing I remember is watching Blackjack Mulligan put the claw on somebody on my TV, and then a big giant red X came through the screen. And I said, oh, I don't know what this is, but they're telling me I can't see it. Now I want to do nothing but see it, right? It was such a cool visual to see this giant man with a black leather glove and a big black mustache, and he threw his hand on this dude's head, and I'm assuming the guy bled, and that's why they put the big red X on. And from that day, I would watch every day I would change the channel, trying to find whatever, I didn't know it was even called wrestling at the time, because that's all I watched. It was just that one part, and that was the end of the show. And I just kept trying to find it every day. I came home from school, before school, and then finally on a Saturday afternoon or something, I found it, and I was blown away. So I was raised by my aunt and my grandmother, and my aunt and my grandmother wouldn't let me watch it. They're like, "You're not watching that shit. You know, my shows are on." And so I used to go to this, up the street around the corner from me, was this bar called, I can't even think of the name of it, but it was a super little dive bar where like all just old men hung out. And I used to press my face up against the window and watch it, because they would watch it on a little TV up in the corner of the bar. And I did that for like 2 or 3 weeks, and the owner came out and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm watching whatever this is." He goes, "That's wrestling." He goes, "Why don't you come in?" So he sat me at the bar in the corner of the bar, in front of the TV, made me hamburger and fries and fed me soda. And so every Saturday I would show up. I didn't know what time it was, because I was like 9. I didn't know time. You know, I probably knew time, but that makes me sound stupid. I probably knew what time was, but I didn't have a cool calculator to watch yet, so I didn't know what time it was. So I didn't know what time wrestling was on. So I would just show up early, and he would let me in, and I would be sitting there watching wrestling. And then, you know, through that, you just watch more and more. And I just remember saying, when I get older, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. So you fast forward now, 10th grade. I don't know if you're raised Catholic. I was raised Catholic. So you got confirmed, correct? So where I got confirmed, I had to write a letter to the priest explaining why being confirmed Catholic was important to me. I took the opposite stance and said, being confirmed Catholic is not that important, because Jesus and God aren't going to help me pin the world heavyweight champion and become a professional wrestler. So piss off, God, right? That was pretty much my stance. My aunt found that letter before I was able to turn it in. She goes, "That's not happening. You're rewriting it." So I rewrote it, and I felt even worse. My stance in was like, well, now I'm lying to God. That's probably even worse, right? Because now I'm making up all this bullshit about why being confirmed Catholic is important to me. but I made my confirmation. It was a mess. And then graduated high school. I'm going to say I graduated high school because nobody could get my transcripts. So I'm going to say I graduated with honors. Why not? I think I was valedictorian. Go ahead, look it up. And then when I was like 20 or so, I was at the Boston Garden and I found some guy who was passing out flyers, and he won, it was a flyer about want to be a pro wrestler. And I looked at the address and literally it was up the street from my house. And I go, what the hell? Like, this is up the street. So I went and found the guy and we started talking, and literally it was up the street. So the next day we met at his house. It was free, it was winter time, and we started taking bumps out in his yard on frozen lawn furniture. Not like put together lawn furniture, but like the cushion had fallen on the ground and he just never bothered to pick it up. So it had got snowed on all winter long, and now it's starting to thaw out a little bit, but it's still frozen, and we were just taking bumps on that. And then we would just sit in his house when we were watching wrestling, and he ended up being, his name is Jeff Costa, and he was one of Walter Kowalski's. He was like Pillar Kowalski's second class, and he went to class, he went to a school, did a couple of TV tapings for Vince, and then got a job in Vancouver, Vancouver, Canada. Went, made a career for 7 or 8 or 9, 10 years, whatever it was. Came back and wanted to start his own thing. And January 8th, 1994 was our first show at Richard's Catering Hall in Hudson, New Hampshire, and the rest is history. Then I became a huge star, as you can tell by the attendance here tonight. Guys, I know there's no more seats in the back, but just stand, be careful. We don't need a station nightclub situation here, so here, stay clear of the exits, okay? Thanks. Station, yeah. Great white man.
So, Sonny, where has your career taken you with regard to places? Where have you traveled?
So this is my favorite thing I say. I go, man, wrestling has taken me everywhere. I've been to all the M's, all the big M's. I've been to Montreal, I've been to Memphis, I've been to Mexico. Those are the 3 M's. So we got booked in Mexico, got to Tijuana, didn't really have any other information. Like, so we got dumped in Tijuana by a bus, and then we had to find a cab to take us to the arena for Lucha Libre. Our cab driver spoke no English, drove us, dropped us off at arena that had a big poster with Lucha Libre, Rob Arena. So we walked, me and Britt Morrison walked the 5.5 miles back into town, missed our booking, and then we just bought a bunch of Lucha Libre masks, ate a great dinner at a Mexican, it was the best dinner I've ever had in my life. We found this one cab driver who spoke English now, and drove us around all day looking for Lucha Libre masks and booths and whatever else. And we said, we're hungry, but I want a really good steak dinner. And you're gonna take us to some little Mexican chain. I said, no, where would you take your family? And he drove us way out of town to this little farm where I swear they just butchered the cow. It was the best meal I ever had. We took him inside, we paid for him. It's freaking awesome, it was awesome. So that was my Mexico story. So I never actually wrestled in Mexico, and then from Memphis, I used to work for a car company called Saturn. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
So they used to have a plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. They would send us down for training and we'd stay in Nashville. Nashville was about an hour drive to Spring Hill. It was a 4-hour bus ride to Memphis. So I knew I was going down there, and I knew that Jerry Lawler was filming TV at Channel 5 in Memphis. And I said, I'd be dumb not to go, right? Because what's the chances? So one day I just picked up the phone and called Channel 5 TV in Memphis, Tennessee. And I said, hi, can I speak to Jerry Lawler? And they go, yeah, hold a minute. And I'm like, that was fucking easy, right? So he gets on the phone, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna be in Tennessee, whatever, in a month, and I'd love to come down to GUTV, just, do jobs or whatever. He goes, well, it's hard to book you sight unseen. He said, where are you calling from? And I said, New Hampshire, New England. He goes, we're gonna be in Hartford, Connecticut, whatever, next Monday or whatever. He goes, just come down, introduce yourself, I'll take a look at you, and then we'll go from there. So the next Monday or whatever it was, drove down to Connecticut, get inside, I'm waiting there, and I keep asking everybody to speak to Lawler, and saw a bunch of guys I know, and they're like, hey, can you bring your gear, we'll get you a shot, and I was like, nope, just want to introduce myself to Jerry Lawler. So Jerry comes out, I introduce myself, he goes, yeah man, I'll definitely use you, you're a big kid. He goes, do you want a spot for tonight? I go, nope, got him back to New Hampshire. So we drove down to Hartford, 2 hours, met Jerry Lawler for 34 seconds, drove back, and then, but I got my spot. I got to Nashville. I couldn't check into my hotel because it was cheap. I didn't want to pay for another night hotel, so I slept in the lobby until they woke me up and said, "You can't do that. You're vagrant." So I waited outside. I walked to the bus stop and bought a bus ticket. Took a bus from Nashville to Memphis. Have you ever taken a bus? It's the worst experience ever. If Uber was around then, I would have paid the $8,000 or whatever it was for that 4-hour drive. It was the worst experience ever. At 2 o'clock in the morning, there's 800 people on this bus sitting on top of each other. Spoiler, none of them showered. I don't know what any of them, if they knew what friggin' deodorant was, whatever. I literally couldn't get closer to my window seat, just trying to not inhale whatever was next to me. It was, so gross. So I get to Memphis, I have no idea where I'm at. I'm like, I gotta find the TV studio. So I started asking the people that work there, and they're like, "What are you looking for?" I said, "Channel 5. And luckily, I literally was across the street. So I just crossed the street, walked into the studio. A kid from Jersey was there. He used to set up the rings. I introduced myself. I had him set up the ring, and then I got to work Memphis TV. It was one of the coolest experiences I ever had, and I got paid. They asked me if I wanted to come. They said, "We were doing whatever tonight, and we're doing something tomorrow on Sunday." And I said, "I'd love to join you." It was literally everything in my power to not say, "Yeah, I'm coming with you, I'm joining the circus." But then I go, "I got a wife and kids at home. How am I going to explain that?" That's going to be an awkward phone call, right? "Hey, honey, I'm in Memphis. I'm just going to wrestle down here. I'll send you my $8 a week that I can afford to send you." "All right, love you, bye." Right? So I was like, "Well, I can't do that." So I said, "No, I'm sorry." And then I took a bus back to Nashville and then went to training. It was terrible. And Montreal, I used to wrestle in a lot because I don't even know how I got hooked up down there, but I got hooked up in Montreal, and that was an awkward situation too, because in the Montreal locker rooms, there's a French speaking, there was English speaking, and those two would not talk to each other. They just wouldn't communicate. And then I'm an American, English speaking, I was the worst kind. So I sat kind of in the middle, nobody talking to me. It was the most, next to the chaotic wrestling locker room, it was the clickiest locker room I've ever been in. So it was very bizarre, but they loved me, so they kept bringing me back. I went up there, must have been a dozen times or so I wrestled in Montreal, and had a blast. But as far as that, everywhere else around New England I've been. Every podunk town, and every VFW hall, the Magic Columbus, I've made evented, brother. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
No, that's totally okay. Totally okay. So, in addition to your wrestling, you also did some booking. Tell me about that.
I did. So I used to book for Sheldon Goldberg. I got the book for Sheldon for his company, New England Championship Wrestling. And at the time, it was probably one of the best run organizations in New England, and probably used all the top guys. And well, I say I used all the top guys, but there were guys that I turned away that I wouldn't use. On my first night in, I remember I was handing out the paydays, and I handed up the payday envelope to this one certain gentleman, and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I think you got somebody else's envelope." He goes, "I think I got somebody else's envelope. I usually get paid this." I said, "No, you don't." I said, "Here's your money. You can either take it or you can not take it, but this is what you're getting." He goes, "Well, next time, no." I go, "Nope, this is what you're getting." So, but it was Sheldon's top guy that Sheldon loved and would never, I wanted to fire him immediately. Sheldon wouldn't let me. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm stuck with him, but I wouldn't pay him anything more than what I was going to pay him. Guys who came to see me? What's that dude's name? Damian Sandow, when he was wrestling around here as Aaron Stevens. He came to see me, and at the time he was working for Chaotic, and he was working for a bunch of other companies, and I said, "I can't use you because I can't count on you to be here. you know, because we run a lot of the same times as other local promotions. I said, so unless you want to come in and just be used to put guys over, I said, but I think you're better than that. So really, I just can't use you. So, oh, sorry, is there a question in the back? No? Sorry. No, okay. Question? You have a question? It's not at all. No, it's hot as, what's the word I'm looking for?
Fire.
Fire. Fire's good. All right, cool. Yeah, so I turned him away, like John Walters, who at the time was one of the best guys in New England, didn't want to book him because, again, the same commitment, chaotic. And then, so I did that for about a year and really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, well, this is what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the storytelling part of it, putting the matches together part of it. I didn't enjoy the rest of it, like the insufferable phone calls about where are we going to be in 6 months, and this plan I have, this idea I have, and we're going to do this. And just let me put together the matches. That's where I was having fun. Like, give me the guys, give me my toys, let me put it together, you know? And that's what I enjoyed. And it lasted about a year, and then I went and worked with Steve Bradley for a little bit when he came back from WWE when he got fired. Excuse me. And then I put on my own couple of shows a couple of times. I just didn't have the commitment at the time because putting a show together or running a consistent show is ridiculous. You have to kind of be insane to do it because it takes so much time, so much effort. Getting the guys there, getting them to do what you want them to do, not a problem. Promoting the show and getting people in the crowd, that's, I mean, I didn't have the problem here tonight, as you guys can see, don't show the crowd. But you can see that, I mean, this place is packed, but to get that on a regular basis, to get them to come buy tickets, to see the product, it doesn't matter really what you're putting out there, people are just gonna come or they're not gonna come. So it's very, very difficult. Was it something I said? Are you leaving? Oh, okay. All right.
So, Sonny, now you've been able to make a career out of wrestling.
Well, I would not say that. We were just kind of talking about this briefly. Like, to be here today or all day today and last night at the Hall of Fame is seriously crazy to me. It's an honor. But it's weird to me when people say like my name in the same breath as like Barry Windham's sitting out there. Our name is sitting out there. We're not the same. You know what I mean? Like, they made careers. I just did this. Essentially, at this point, I can look back at it and say this was a hobby. When you're in the thick of it, though, and you have a shot on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can say, "Oh, brother, big weekend this weekend. You know, I got 3 shows, brother." I mean, I spent more money on wrestling boots and wrestling gear than I ever made. I'm so surprised my wife has never divorced me. I got one time Jeff goes, "Hey, I'm going to change your gimmick." He goes, "We're going to call you Elvis Atlas." I go, "Elvis Atlas?" I go, "All right, whatever, I don't know what that is," but I go, "Elvis Atlas sounds like he has to have white boots." I didn't have any white boots, so I called this guy. I said, "Hey, need white boots?" He goes, "Just lace up front." I go, "Nah, I'm lazy. Give me those Velcro straps." This is like on a Monday. He goes, "When do you need them for?" I go, "Saturday." He goes, "Huh?" I go, "Saturday, the show's on Saturday." He goes, "That's gonna be special order, like it's extra expense." I go, "How much?" It was like $460. I was like, "Yeah, all right." So I paid for them. I got them. I wore them twice, and they're sitting in my closet somewhere, just sitting there. My wife, I don't know why she hasn't divorced me. Honestly, I would just order gear, and it would just show up like $600-700 to whack because I'm not I don't know if you know this, I'm not a small guy. So I wear like a 3-piece gimmick, you know, and each piece is like a lot of money. So, and then you have to have boots to match. So I needed hot pink boots with black soles. You gotta have that, right? You can't just have white boots, that's lame. So I did that, and then there was a time I lost a bunch of weight, and then I found this place online called Spandex World. Wow, I'm surprised I'm not in the poorhouse because I spent so much money on Spandex World. You could just click through 86 pages of different printed spandex, I must have ordered it all, and my wife had a sewing machine. I was like, hey, here's a good idea. How about you make me some gear? So for a time, she was making me a new set of gear, a singlet for every show I had. She's like, how many shows do you have coming up this weekend? I'm like, 2. So she'd make me 2 sets. Next weekend, 3 sets. So I had a new set of gear every show. It was awesome, but as far as making it a career, I still had to work a full-time job. And like I said, I spent more money on the business than I ever made in it, but I wouldn't change it for the world. That's what you guys cry. You guys, I think they're boxing around a tissue. Passing around tissues here.
Yeah, sure, another question.
Yes. So what about the phone calls you used to make back before cell phones and stuff?
Yeah, so this is another reason I'm surprised I'm not divorced. I talked about this on a podcast recently. I had the privilege of working with Tony Atlas really young in my career, and he really took a liking to me because I think I was a big guy who didn't hurt him. So he goes, kid, you're good. He goes, I'm going to help you get booked. So he gave me a bootload of numbers to call. Everywhere all across the country, overseas in Germany and stuff. So I would sit home after I get out of work, not knowing what time it is in Germany, because it goes back to that not being able to tell time thing. But I don't know how to tell time in Germany if I can barely tell time in New Hampshire. So I'd sit at my kitchen table, pull the phone off the wall, because that's back when the day you actually had a phone call, like you had a phone. You guys familiar with what a phone is? It's not just cell phone, but it's an actual thing. Yeah. But I would just make these calls to Germany and England and wherever else, Texas, all different times. My phone bills were ridiculous. She'd come in and she would, who you calling? Like, my sister. Yeah, I'm looking for Otto Vance. Is this Germany? Yeah. Like, just constantly, my phone bills were ridiculous. But she supported me from day one, so luckily she didn't divorce me. I mean, I don't know where I'm going to be when I get home today, but whatever, it's fine. There may be papers, there may not be. Every day it's a game. Yeah.
So what advice would you have for somebody coming up in the business now who would be doing things a little bit differently in order to get their name out there?
It's completely different. So again, starting training in winter of 92, 93 to today, the business has always been cyclical. You know, it has its ups and its downs. I don't know that it's ever been higher for the independent part of wrestling versus the corporate part of wrestling that may not be on its biggest upswing. Financially, it probably is because of things like Saudi Arabia or whatever, but the independent wrestling, there's more money to be made in independent wrestling right now than ever. Again, when I started, we didn't sell t-shirts because we're like, who the hell's gonna buy a freaking t-shirt? And then if you did have t-shirts, you made 12 of them or 24, you gave them to the boys, you gave them to your kids or whatever, and then you had 7 to sell, you know? And then if you sell them for 15 bucks, the people would be like, 15, all right, 10 bucks, just give me 10 bucks. So now you're losing $1 on the t-shirt, so, but whatever, they're being sold. And again, at the time, the independent wrestling didn't have the crowds that we had, or doesn't have the crowds that it has today. So the guys that are starting today have a huge advantage over what I did in 1994. You have the ability to wrestle just in New England alone on 5 or 6 different promotions that are nationally known, you know, and it's just, and you can work 5 different shows in a weekend with 5 different guys and 5 different people and have it seen in 5 different formats with the advent of social media and YouTube. You know, back in the day, like, you know, I'd call a Grizzly Smith in Texas and he'd say, send me an 8x10 and a tape. Well, now I would just say, hey, give me your cell phone number and I'll forward you a link. It's completely different. So if you are starting in the business today, take advantage of all that kind of stuff. Do whatever you can to get yourself out there. Take those bookings that aren't a guaranteed pay because, you know, there's a lot of time in relation to like rock and roll band. You said you're a musician, right? The whole pay to play thing. Not that I necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with that. But if you say, listen, I can't guarantee you anything, but if you show up, I'll put you on the show. show up. So maybe you don't get paid, but guess what? The 150 or the 200 people that are sitting in the crowd just saw you, but now that goes out on YouTube, who knows how many likes that's going to see, right? And that's where you're going to get your next booking, you know? It's crazy how much different the business is today versus then. So if you have the drive and you ready for the struggle, I applaud you. Go ahead, full force, both feet in. Whatever other cliche.
Yeah, so before we're going to open up for questions in just a minute, but I have one last question for you. What would you say is your fondest memory?
To be honest with you, things like last night, I got to see and hang out with guys that there's a lot of acquaintances in wrestling. You know, you meet a lot of people. Like you and I probably won't see each other again until next year, but we'll be like, oh, that's my friend, right? But we're not friends, we're acquaintances, okay? I mean, unless, you know, you're looking at me kind of creepy, but whatever. We'll get over that. I'll talk to your husband. But like last night, I'm hanging with Johnny Idol, who I've known for 25 years. I'm hanging with Doc Harris, who I've known for 25 years. Vinny Marseglia, who I've known for probably 15 years. When he first started, he thought he was Jeff Hardy cross Randy Orton. Hanging with Antonio Thomas, you know, like just guys that I've seen start, like literally have their first handful of matches. And we all got to sit last night and just chat and have fun. And, you know, Chris Venom and Chris Venom and Fred Curry and all these guys that you only see at these kind of events. Joel Davis, which was a pleasure to see. He wasn't a pain in my asshole at all last night.
Yeah, not at all.
Did you meet Joel Davis?
I don't know.
Oh, you're so lucky.
So lucky.
So lucky. But, you know, those kind of things, like, so when you ask me that just happens to be on my mind now. But those are the memories. I've always said, if you could just book a wrestling event and not actually have the wrestling, you just book a hall where you put all the boys in it, we're gonna have a freaking good time. You know what I mean? And last night was indicative of that. I know that there was a bunch of the boys were sitting out in the lobby versus the actual hall that they were running the event in, and they were getting scolded because they were being so loud. Unfortunately, you put a bar in with a bunch of immature men, they're gonna get loud. There's a theory in wrestling that says, whatever age you started wrestling at, that's the age you stop maturing at. So essentially, you had a bunch of 20-year-olds out there that were able to drink alcohol and we're assholes. That's what it was, you know. And but man, just fun, like just such a good time. But I didn't, like you said, we didn't get any sleep. I went to bed at 4 o'clock. I was up at 7:15. I'm too old for 3 hours of sleep, you know. And but I can't wait. If they said, hey, we're gonna do it again tonight, I'd be like, hell yeah, man, let's go. I love that kind of stuff. That's my favorite stuff.
So, any other questions?
And yes, you in the back.
Yes, just curious, when you were as a booker, why didn't you book Travis Funk versus Joel Davis?
Because I thought I ran a good book. That's why I didn't book that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Jerry, you got a question for him?
Oh, I got a clap in the back. Jerry, you have a question for me?
Who was your favorite person to wrestle?
That's a good question. Yeah, wow. So I've only had one match with Johnny Idol, and I loved it. I look back on it, it probably wasn't as good as I thought it was. I would love to do it again, but I love working with Idol. I love working with Tony Atlas because if you saw one Tony Atlas match when he was doing these matches, you saw them all. You know what I mean? We're gonna lock up. I'm gonna shove you, or you're gonna shove me off. I'm gonna take a bump. You know, you played a flexion, same match every time. So Tony was fun. I got to work with Jeff Costa, who at the time, when he was first running his shows, I got programmed with him. So like essentially I was married to him. So I had a string of matches. It must have been for a year plus. And I was so aggravated because in my head I'm watching my best friend Dave work with everybody else, right? Every month he has a new opponent. And I'm like, I want to work with different guys. I want to work this kid. I want to be able to do this spot. But I'm working with a guy who made money in the business in Vancouver, and he's teaching me, you know, it's literally, it's what I tell guys today, slow down, you know, slow down. But the stuff I'm telling, it was even slower then, but not slow like, don't do anything, just different, you know, like how to work a match. So working with Jeff Costa for that year and a half, when I came out of that, I worked essentially as a babyface, literally turned into a heel in the middle of a match. As I was wrestling under a mask back then, I was Captain USA, I was fighting for the red, white, and blue. And I ripped my mask off, and I had long hair, you know, all tucked up underneath, and I turned heel right at that time. And I became a great heel because I had been working for a year with a great heel. So you learn all the small nuances on, you know, instead of throwing 13 punches on a guy's head, throw one and then sell your hand. You know, those kind of things that just make a difference. When you look at it, I always wanted to be as a heel, especially when they left, they go, you know, some of that shit was fake tonight, but man, if Sonny punched that guy in the face or punched that guy in the head, that was real, you know, and maybe 75% of them were. But, you know what I mean? I just wanted to be something different on the card. And I didn't realize it for a long time that I was privileged to work with Jeff for all that long because I learned how to be a great babyface and get sympathy. But the whole time, he was teaching me how to be a friggin' effective heel, when to pick things up, when to, you know, slow things down. And that, so overall, working with Jeff Costa was my favorite opponent because I learned so much, so much.
Well,
Wait. 1977, thank you. I don't know if you guys heard that question. How old was I in 1977? I was 5. Go ahead. Sorry.
what about someone that you wish you never wrestled?
Joe, no, I never got to work Joel Davis. Oh, there was a guy in Canada one time. Jeff and I went up, we were doing the suicide blondes. So we each had bleached blonde hair. And we were wrestling in a bar in Canada. It was packed. But there was a balcony. So if I stood like on the second rope, I could grab the balcony and probably work my way up there. So the people were right on top of us. And we were working with this, they told us that these guys had been working for years and years and years. So they don't speak any English, so. And I get in there and this one kid's just super nervous and super excited and starts shit kicking me. Like I'm taking a beating, like I owe him money or something. And I'm like, and I'm a heel because I'm American. I'm like, oh, this is brutal. So I remember I stopped him, I cut him down, and I put him in a rear chin lock and I stuck my thumb up his nose. And I said, slow the fuck down and stop beating me up. I go, let's work together. And he's like, oh, okay. That's all he can say, goes, okay. But I was 2 knuckles deep up his nose. So that was one of my least favorite opponents. And then there was a guy named the Intern or something. I don't know who he is, but I was working at Salisbury Beach and John Callahan and Big City Mike used to bring him in. And we had worked out a match, and again, it was a situation where they said, oh, this guy's been working a long time. So I was never a big fan of calling a lot of stuff before a match because I don't have a memory for it. I would literally talk to you about our finish, walk out of the curtain, and then forget it because now I'm just tuned into the crowd. No idea what we're doing for a finish. So this guy, we're working, we're doing our things. All of a sudden, he throws me to the outside and takes a metal folding chair and swings it at me, but swings it at my face, like completely unsafe. And he hit me right here, and I remember just instantly bruising and swelling. So he bruised my orbital bone, my eye swelled shut, under a mask, by the way. Under a mask, swelled up and swelled shut. And I just remember getting back in there and shit kicking him. And, but safe though, like safe. I wasn't like karate chopping the story or anything, but just letting him know that he fucked up. And so he's another guy I would never choose to work with again. So guys, come on in, there's plenty of room. Well, there's 2 seats left, guys, they're for you. While you're laughing, don't laugh at me. Rude, thank you. Any other questions? Cameraman? You want to know my birth sign or anything? I'm a Libra. My eyes are blue. I like long walks along the beach. No, I don't. Who the fuck like actually walking on the beach? You? Don't lie. You don't. Nobody does. All that shit and syringed in the sand, stab you, get the HIV or the whatever from those freaking dirty needles on the beach. Oh, Leo, you got that one?
How about, can you tell the story about the last time you worked for Big City Mike and John Callahan? When you took on,
Eric Watts?
Eric Watts.
Yes. So I've told this story a couple of times as well. Are you guys all familiar with Eric Watts? His son of legendary wrestling promoter Bill Watts. Huge company out in Oklahoma and all those companies, all those places. His kid was fresh off the TV. He had a huge run in WCW, beating everybody with his finishing hold. Do you remember what it was called? Yes, yeah.
2000?
No, that's good though, right? Yes. But he was beating everybody on television with that step over to a whole face lock, right? Like Arn Anderson, Bobby, every top star, he was beating him. So apparently, Eric Watts' brother and mom had a pawn shop in Salem, New Hampshire or something like that. So Eric was out visiting. They got in contact with him and booked him for a series of events over 3 weekends or whatever. So they go, Sonny, we're gonna program with you, you're gonna work these 3 shows or these 6 shows with them, you know, like 3 weekends. I go, perfect. And they go, in the finish is, you know, you're gonna tap out to the STF. And I said, I have no problem doing that because it's Eric Watts and he's just coming off television. I go, but he's not gonna be here the week after I am. I said, can we just do some other kind of finish so it makes sense? So, like, at the time I didn't realize that I could do a job like that and still keep my heat on me. You know, I just thought, like, it didn't make sense to me to do a job to a guy who wasn't gonna be there the next night, you know what I mean? And does that make sense? Right? So I just thought, let's do something else. Let's just do anything else. I don't care what it is, or let him pin me, whatever. I don't care, just whatever. So we worked a couple of shows, and he's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. We're having good matches. He's a big kid. So we worked the last show, and the finish of the match we decide on is that he's going to put me in the STF. John Callahan's going to hit the ring and schmoz Eric Watts for disqualification. I get disqualified. He gets the hand raised, right? I go, yeah, that's fine. That's perfect. Scott Dickinson from WCW fame was a referee. We're working the match. We get into the spot. He puts me in the STF, and I'm waiting. I'm selling this like crazy because, again, he's beating everybody on TV with this move. So I'm waiting. No John Callahan. I look at Dickinson looks at me, he goes, I don't think he's fucking done. I go, I don't think so either. Eric goes, Sonny, you got attacked. I go, fuck you. So then I stopped selling. I just sat there, literally like this. Again, he's beating everybody on television with this thing, and I'm not selling it at all. I'm selling it like I'm laying on my belly watching the Brady Bunch or something. Just, So I'm sitting there, and it feels like minutes are going by. And he's now just trying to shoot it on me, but it's not really a shoot move. Like plus he's 14 feet tall, so he can't get the leverage to actually make it hurt. So I don't know what he's doing, but I'm just not selling it. And Dickinson's like, Sonny, you got tapped. I go, fuck you, Dickinson, you lazy guy. He said, I'm not tapping. So he's just sitting there, and I'm in it. And he goes, son, what are we gonna do? I go, you want me to quit? And I just yelled, I fucking quit! That's it. He got off me, I rolled out of the ring, I think I did a jumping jack, no sold the move altogether, and then I started pointing at people saying, fuck you, and fuck you, fuck you, because and then the best part of this whole story is Kevin Butcher Hughes, who was Walter Kowalski's first student, got sent to Japan, everything. This guy was amazing. He looked after me like I was his son. From the crowd, I could hear him yelling, it's a shoot! It's a screw job! It's a screw job! Now he's standing up. Kevin always carried a gun with him, always carried a box cutter, because you never know when you had to slit a bitch. Yeah, that's what he used to tell me. And honest story, first time I ever met him, we're walking to the corner store to get soda, and he just pulls out of his pocket, pulls the box cutter out, and he goes, you got one of these? I go, no. I go, why do you have one? case you take a spill, maybe to bleed, and then we can sue. I'm like, what? This is 20 minutes after I met him, I'm like, this guy's fucking nuts. But again, protected me like I was his son. So I went in, grabbed my bag, I didn't even change, I just left, sweaty, gross in my baby blue gear, bleach blonde, long hair, just telling everybody to go fuck themselves on my way out the door. And then I'll never fucking work for that guy again, blah, blah, blah. 3 months later, we're back and working with the Eliminators as a tag team. But it was a good 3 never again months. Yeah.
So we're gonna have one last question. Anyone?
And I'm sorry for swearing on it. You guys beat these out or? Nah, fuck it. Fuck it.
Anybody that you didn't wrestle that you wish you had?
Good question.
Very good question.
That's a very good question. Yeah, absolutely. My favorites growing up, like when I remember when Jeff asked me, he goes, who do you like, right? Because you asked anybody at that time, everybody was like, oh, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper. I was like, man, my idols are, I look for Don the Rock Morocco. I like Arn Anderson and Bobby E. And those are the guys that I wanted to wrestle because I thought they were just phenomenal. So like my mindset, I think, was already like towards the technicians part of it. Not so much Morocco, but Morocco was phenomenal just for what he did. But like Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton and those kind of guys, those are the guys that I just thought, man, I could go have a 25-minute match with those guys and not do anything but tell a phenomenal story and just make money, like, you know. That was me as a baby face. Me as a heel, I would have loved to work Dusty Rhodes. That would have been something. Yes.
What about, you told me before that you would love to come back and wrestle with Congo.
Yes.
What are the young talents right now that you wish you could wrestle?
That's a good question. Right now, so a kid who's making a name for himself is AG, right? Anthony Green, are you guys familiar? Retrosexual Anthony Green. So I've known this kid since he was a kid. He's still a kid now, but I mean, he's a young adult, he's a young man now, but I've literally known him since he was a kid. He was coming to the shows as a fan, and then he got in as a referee, and now he's a wrestler, and he looks like a freaking man, but I still see him as little Anthony Green, you know? And, but he's doing great things, and his work is so solid right now. I'd love to work with him. Like you mentioned, Congo. Congo's a guy you probably nobody's ever heard of, right? Well, Jerry, you probably have, but he's so freaking good. He plays the monster heel really, really well, and I thought I could get a really good, it wouldn't just be, I wouldn't want to just do it for 2 matches or 3 matches. I'd want to get like a 6, 8, 10-month program out of it and finish it off with a chain match or something where I can just get all the color in the world and just bleed a gallon on a canvas and, you know, make my $25, you know. Yeah. Those are good questions. Those are good questions.
I'd like to see the ring. Josh Briggs would have been a good opponent for you too.
Yeah, Josh Briggs would be good, yeah. Josh Briggs would be really good. I'd love to work with any of these guys because, again, like, you know, I was at a Brian Fury school, the chaotic school there at New England Pro Wrestling Academy, and I was listening to Josh, and he was saying, now Josh has been in business 3 years or something, and he's telling the kids, you guys have to slow down. So a kid who just started 3 years ago, already telling guys that are just starting to slow down, like, it warmed my heart a little, you know what I mean? And it's slow down means slow down, but not slow down. It's weird. Until you know what I mean, you don't know what I mean. But to hear them say that, I knew right then, I was like, oh, I could have a good match with this kid. Brian Fury's another one I'd want. Just everybody. The guy working Cameron 2 over here, I'd love to work with him. I'd put you over, kid. Big body slam. Put you over right in the center of the ring. That's not true. I wouldn't do a job for you. What? I pinned you once? Did I shoot on you? Did I hook the leg deep? Now did I stand on you like a champ?
No, that double fist on the chest.
Fuck yeah, I did.
It was good.
That was the original plank, I think.
I like it. You told me you liked it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, all right. I remember that match. It was cool. Sold out. You never seen so many people hanging from the rafters. Yeah. All right.
I think we are about out of time tonight, but I appreciate everyone coming out tonight, and I appreciate your time, Sonny.
Thank you very much.